The status quo bias is the idea that, in any course of action, there is always one alternative, which is to do nothing new, right? You could always shoot, hey, we have two new alternatives here, A or B. Well, there's always the other alternative, C, which is just stay where you are. And we are hardwired to prefer C, stay just where you are. And some people ask us sometimes, well, how is that different than negativity bias? They are both rooted in loss aversion. We really just, hey, what we have is really wonderful. But the fix for the two is different enough that we saw some real value in putting some daylight between them. So with status quo bias, just simply understanding that we also have this conservatism not to branch out and just to stay at home base. That is a little bit different than just saying, finding the negative in everything. That's just, I want to be safe. This really is refuge, right? But the fix for it is to, when we're considering alternatives, we will subject all these alternatives to some real scrutiny, and we'll just beat up the alternatives, but we'll rarely subject the status quo to that same kind of scrutiny, right? And if we can just turn the lens in back on the status quo and say, well, hey, if we were thinking about where we are as critically, would we still choose it? And the answer is often, well, maybe not. And so that's really a fairly simple thing to just kind of put into our repertoire.
I heard Tony Robbins talk about this. He seems to know a lot about how the brain works. I don't like this sort of, he was teaching about wealth, and I've always been suspect of anybody who's like, you got to condition yourself for wealth, and okay, well, fine. But he did say something interesting, which was that a lot of our thoughts about money, so if I'm going to go make money, or if again, let me go back to acting. My acting teacher said, being a star is easy. It's easy. I was, well, what do you mean being a star is easy? This business, he goes, it's getting out of your own way that's hard, right? You guys do 15 things. He had this girl, she was there crying. Her career wasn't going well. And he isolated 15 different things she was doing to ensure her failure. The money is the same thing. If you hear these gurus, they'll say things like, money is the root of all evil. What if will I have time to spend it? Will I have time for my friends? There are so many negative connotations to money, right? There are just so many, money can't make you happy. Money doesn't buy you happiness. Money is, so he was like, you got to get, first of all, a good idea would be to get all of that sort of bias out of the way. That sort of, you're coming up with reasons not to make money to begin with.
Yeah.
And that's a hard thing to get out of your way. And so get that shit out of the way, get these negative connotations toward money, and then it'll probably free you up to sort of start thinking about how to make money. It was an interesting way of looking at it, so.
Well, so even in that example, people aren't looking at their status quo nearly as critically as they are that would-be future. Mm-hmm. And so that's weird, mm-hmm. right? So it's really easy to poke holes in this alternative.
Yeah.
But then we'll never then go, okay, well, let's now line up 5 things about the current situation that maybe aren't quite as wonderful. And then now I can assess that maybe a little more fairly, because now I'm stacking the deck, because I'm just assuming away the given, the status quo, and I'm just not thinking about it at all. And the incumbent situation will always have an advantage. Always, always, always.